You know that thing we all do? You're rushing out the door, can't find your keys, and you start muttering, okay, wallet, phone, where did I put the keys? Or maybe you're about to walk into a job interview and you give yourself a little pep talk, like, you can do this, just breathe. We all talk to ourselves. It's so common, so completely universal. But have you ever stopped to think about how weird it actually is?
And this isn't some new observation. I mean, we're talking ancient Greece here. Plato himself described thinking as a kind of silent conversation, the soul talking to itself. He saw it as the basic way our minds work, this constant internal back and forth.
And that is the big question, isn't it? If you are both the speaker and the listener, what new information is possibly being exchanged? It seems totally pointless, like sending yourself a letter to tell yourself something you already know. This is the mystery we're going to try and solve.
So let's break this down. To really get why this is such a puzzle, we have to look at what we normally mean when we say communication.
The standard definition, what you might call the textbook version, is really simple. Communication is basically moving a piece of information from someone who has it to someone who doesn't. I know something, you don't, so I tell you. Boom, information transferred. It's efficient, it makes sense.
And this is where the problem really becomes crystal clear. Look at the left side, social talk. One person has the info, the other person needs it. You get a useful exchange. But now look at the right. With self-talk, the sender already has the info and, well, the receiver is the same person, so they have it too. The result seems completely redundant. So, if it's not about sharing information, what in the world is it for?
All right, this brings us to our first major clue for solving this mystery, and it comes from a philosopher named Bart Gertz. He basically argues that we're looking at this whole thing the wrong way around.
Here's his big idea. What if self-talk isn't about informing ourselves of something we already know? What if it's about committing ourselves to a future action? It's not about transferring data. It's about making a pact with your future self. And you can see how this plays out. When you say to yourself, I'll mow the lawn tomorrow, you're not just stating a fact. You're creating a goal-directed commitment. You're forming an intention. When you say, okay, the keys are in the kitchen, you're forming a belief that will guide your next action. Even asking yourself a question like, am I gay? That creates a goal to decide. You're basically forcing yourself to sort it out. In every one of these cases, language is the tool you're using to lock yourself into a plan. But of course, that's not the only way to look at it. Our second clue from philosopher Felicity Deemer comes at it from a completely different angle. It actually challenges the basic assumption that started this whole puzzle. Think about this. What if the whole idea that we already know what we're thinking is wrong? Deemer's idea is that we're kind of self-blind. We don't have this perfectly clear window into our own minds. So the act of saying something, of putting a thought into words, isn't just reporting on a thought. It's actually the act of discovering the thought for the first time. I mean, this quote from E.M. Forster just nails it, doesn't it? How can I tell what I think until I see what I say? It perfectly captures this idea that speaking or writing isn't just the end product of thinking, it's part of the thinking process itself. It's how we untangle the mess in our heads and figure out what we actually believe.
Now, this isn't just a debate for philosophers sitting around in armchairs. Modern science is all over this. And the research is showing just how incredibly important self-talk is for, well, pretty much everything our brains do. Seriously, look at this list. Scientists have found direct links between self-talk and our ability to solve problems, control our impulses, manage our memory, switch between tasks, motivate ourselves, you name it. This isn't just background noise, it's a fundamental cognitive tool. And the scientific world is really paying attention. One analysis found nearly 600 scientific papers published on this topic in just a few decades. So this is a huge, active field of research that's growing all the time. And get this, they're actually watching it happen inside our skulls. Using brain scanners like fMRIs, neuroscientists can see that when you talk to yourself, you're lighting up the same parts of your brain that you use for speaking out loud, like Broca's area. So that inner voice is very, very real. It gets even wilder. Researchers are now programming robots to talk to themselves, out loud. And why would they do that? Because they found that when we humans can overhear a robot's thought process, we trust it more and we work better with it. It's an incredible insight into how vital this is for cooperation.
But maybe the most powerful evidence comes from studies of patients with aphasia, people who've lost the ability to speak because of brain damage. In many cases, even when they can no longer speak out loud, their inner speech, their self-talk, is still perfectly intact. This suggests our internal monologue is something even more fundamental than our spoken voice.
Okay, so we've looked at the paradox, we've got two big philosophical clues, and we've seen what science has to say. Now, let's bring this all back home, to you.
The next time you catch yourself talking to yourself, just pause for a second. What are you actually doing? Are you working through a feeling, making a choice, trying to remember something? You've now got two great ways to think about it.
So which one was it? Was it a commitment tool? Were you making a plan, saying, okay, first this, then that, locking in your future self? Or was it more of a discovery tool? Were you talking through a problem to figure out how you really felt, basically making sense of your own dots? Honestly, a lot of the time, it might be a little bit of both.
So next time you hear that voice, don't just tune it out. Pay attention. It's not just a weird habit. It's your brain's super-powered cognitive tool at work. You might just be making a plan, or you might actually be introducing yourself to yourself for the very first time.